Most people experience it at some point, often more than once, a quiet, persistent sense that something has fundamentally changed. Not your circumstances, not your relationships necessarily, or your work. Something underneath all of that. Something in the way you process the world, the way you experience time. The things that used to matter suddenly don't, and things you never noticed become impossible to ignore. This is not a breakdown. It's not depression, though it can be confused with both. It has a different quality, quieter, more directional, like a compass finding north after years of spinning. Today, we're going to walk through the 7 specific signs that your consciousness has genuinely shifted to a higher operating level, backed by neuroscience and by every major ancient tradition that mapped this territory centuries before modern psychology had language for it. These are not aspirational qualities to develop. They're signs of something that is already happening, or has already happened, whether you recognized it or not. Sign 1. You start noticing what most people filter out. Your brain receives roughly 11 million bits of information per second. Your conscious awareness processes around 40. The structure responsible for filtering, the reticular activating system, decides, largely based on your subconscious beliefs and assumptions, which 40 bits matter. As consciousness develops to a higher operating level, this filtering system recalibrates. Things that were previously below the threshold of awareness, patterns in people's behavior, subtle emotional undercurrents in a room, the specific quality of silence before something changes, begin rising above the filter. You don't develop a new ability, you lower a filter that was blocking data you were always receiving. The Vedic tradition mapped this as the development of Viveka, discrimination or discernment. Not judgment in the negative sense, but the capacity to perceive more accurately than before, to see what is rather than what you expect to see. If the world has started feeling more layered, more complex and interesting simultaneously, this is sign 1. Sign 2. Silence has changed quality. Most people are uncomfortable with genuine silence, not because they dislike peace, but because unoccupied mental space surfaces material, thoughts, feelings, unresolved things that constant stimulation keeps below the surface. As consciousness develops, this relationship with silence fundamentally changes. The material that silence used to surface has been integrated. The silence stops feeling like exposure and starts feeling like company. Research on what psychologists call solitude tolerance, the capacity to be with oneself without distraction, shows this increases measurably as psychological maturity develops. It is not personality, it's development. Joe Dispenza's research on meditation and brain coherence shows something specific: regular access to silence, genuine mental stillness, not just physical quietude, produces measurable increases in brain coherence, where different regions begin operating in synchronized patterns rather than independent noise. The silence isn't just pleasant, it's biologically productive in ways that constant stimulation cannot be. The Sufi tradition described this state as hal, a specific quality of consciousness accessed through disciplined stillness. Not an emotion, not a belief, a mode of being. If silence has started feeling less like absence and more like presence, that's sign 2. Sign 3. Draining things have lost their access. There is a specific quality to this sign that distinguishes it from simple burnout or withdrawal. It's not that you're too tired to engage, it's that certain environments, certain conversations, certain media, certain people seem to exist behind glass now. Visible, accessible if you choose, but no longer able to penetrate the same way they used to. This is not coldness, It's what attachment researchers describe as a secure base, an internal stability stable enough that external turbulence no longer automatically produces internal turbulence. The Stoics described this as the difference between preferred and indifferent externals, not apathy, genuine engagement with the world from a position of internal stability rather than dependency. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily, writing about the separation between what happens and what we choose to make of it. What's shifted isn't your caring, it's your exposure. You can engage fully without being consumed. The glass is not distance, it's discernment. Sign 4. You want less and experience more. This one confuses people, including themselves. The natural assumption is that more desire means more aliveness, more ambition, more engagement with life. Less desire suggests depression, withdrawal, giving up. The actual experience is the opposite. There is a paradox in consciousness development that nearly every tradition has documented. As the grasping after experiences, possessions, identities, and validations reduces, the actual depth of experience increases. Neuroscience offers a partial explanation. Dopamine, the primary currency of wanting, is generated not by having, but by anticipating. The brain habituates rapidly to what it has, always seeking the next signal. This anticipation loop is metabolically expensive and experientially shallow. The pleasure of wanting something is rarely matched by the experience of having it. As this loop quiets, what remains is presence, the actual texture of experience, without the overlay of wanting it to be different or wanting the next thing. The Buddhist tradition called this the cessation of craving, not as a moral achievement, but as a practical shift in the relationship with experience, less interference between consciousness and what is. If you've noticed that the desire for more has quietly reduced while moments feel more complete than they used to, that's sign 4. Sign 5. There's no going back and you've stopped trying. This is perhaps the most definitive sign and the most disorienting to experience. At some point, the previous operating level of consciousness becomes structurally inaccessible, not blocked, not forbidden, simply no longer available as a genuine option. You can see where you were, you can describe it, you can even remember what it felt like to be there, but you cannot actually return to inhabiting it, the way you cannot un-understand something you've understood. Developmental psychologists describe this as stage consolidation, the point in any genuine developmental transition where the previous structure becomes inadequate for organizing experience. The new structure doesn't just add capacity, it changes what is even possible to think, feel, and perceive. The grief that often accompanies this sign is real. Something genuinely ends, a version of yourself, a set of relationships organized around that version, a world that made sense in a specific way, all of it completes. And underneath the grief, if you look carefully, is something else, a very quiet, very certain recognition that the loss is also a freedom. Sign 6. Your body has become a source of information, not noise. Most people relate to their body's signals as interruptions, hunger, fatigue, discomfort, the physical responses to stress, as things to manage, suppress, or override. As consciousness develops, this relationship reverses. The body is recognized not as the container of consciousness, but as one of its most sophisticated sensing systems. The field of interoception, the brain's processing of internal body signals, has established that the body processes information about emotional states, relational dynamics, and environmental conditions before the conscious mind has language for them. The gut feeling is not metaphor. It is a real signal from a real sensing system that operates faster than analytical thought. The Sufi tradition described the heart as a sensing organ with its own intelligence,
not the seat of emotion in the popular sense, but an actual perceptual instrument that perceives what the mind is still processing. If your body's signals have started feeling less like interference and more like information, if you've started noticing what your body knew before your mind caught up, that's sign 6. Sign 7. The need for external validation has quietly stopped. This is not arrogance, and it's important to say that clearly. It's not the indifference to others. It's not the performance of not caring what people think. It's something much more specific, a settled internal sense of what is true that no longer requires external confirmation to feel real. Research on identity development describes this as the shift from what psychologists call foreclosed identity, where self-concept is organized around external definitions and approval, to achieved identity, where self-concept is organized around internal conviction, arrived at through genuine experience.
The highest measured levels of psychological well-being consistently correlate with this achieved identity, not because external relationships matter less, but because they're engaged from a position of genuine presence rather than validation seeking. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you. Love the people with whom fate brings you together, and do so with all your heart." This is the quality of sign 7, full engagement, no dependency. If the question of what others think has gotten quieter, while the question of what is actually true has gotten louder, that's sign 7. 7 signs. Neuroscience and ancient tradition pointing at the same territory from different angles. If several of these described an experience you recognized, something has already shifted. Whether you labeled it, understood it, or welcomed it is a separate question. What remains genuinely unresolved across every tradition and every research framework that has studied this territory? Why does genuine consciousness development follow a similar map across people with completely different backgrounds, beliefs, and life experiences? The specific progression from external to internal, from wanting to being, from reaction to response, appears consistent in ways that no current model fully explains. The mechanisms are being mapped. The deeper why remains open. Drop the number 1 through 7 of the sign that landed most accurately in the comments. I read every one. Subscribe for more decoded consciousness content every week. You are the architect of your own frequency.